The first one there is called beep. And basically you just have the option for when you're in focus mode or self-timer, some of the different settings, you can tell the camera whether or not to make a little audible beep when it's in focus or while the timer's clicking off. And depending on either the distance you're going to be from the camera or whatever, you have the option of a low or a high pitch. Now, the next one is the viewfinder grid display. I find this one invaluable. When you're looking through the viewfinder normally, you've got a fairly clear matte screen other than the focusing points. When you turn the viewfinder grid display on, you actually get grid marks in the viewfinder. It's great for helping you keep horizon lines straight, and especially when you're trying to pan with something.
It's kind of an in-camera rule of thirds if you want to stick to the technical stuff. But
it sure is. Each intersection of those grids are going to give you the third area in your viewfinder. Now we've got screen tips. That's another really great setting because I don't expect you to remember all this stuff when you're out in the field. It's one thing if you can go back and watch these videos over and over, but you're out in the field and you're into one of the menus and you say, well, shoot, now I can't remember what Laurie told me about that particular menu setting. When you have that on, anytime you're anywhere in the menu and you see the little question mark down in the lower left-hand corner, all you have to do is reach up and depress the button that has the lock on it, the one right there next to the question mark. And what happens is the camera gives you a short description of what that menu item is. It's a great tool for getting to know your camera and the custom settings. Next, we've got the continuous low mode shooting speed. I had mentioned how when you're in continuous low, you have the ability to set just how many frames per second you want to go. Well, this is where you do it. And you've got anywhere from 1 to 7 frames per second capable. Now again, remember, it's 5 frames per second without the grip. It's up to 8 with the grip on there, the MBD 100. We have max continuous release. If you're shooting a sequence of shots and you want to get as many as possible, you can set that for up to 100 shots. There may be a time where you want just a sequence of 5 shots or 15 shots. Whatever it is, anywhere from 1 to 100, when you're in continuous mode, you depress the shutter release, it will stop at whatever max you've set.
But you're going to be limited by your buffer size, which is dependent upon what file format you're shooting. So if you're shooting RAW, actually here's another little tip. If you push the shutter release down halfway, you can see an R and a number in the top LCD here, and that tells you how many images you have left on your buffer before it has to stop to write the images to your card.
Great point, and that's true. So you can shoot up to a sequence of 100 shots with this camera. Now, that's really dependent on the quality setting that you're in. In RAW, for example, you've actually got a buffer limit of 17 frames. So you can shoot 17 frames before the camera actually has to stop and pause for a minute to catch up processing those images. They call it a buffer. If you're in lower resolution images, like JPEG, for example, again, you can shoot up to 100 frames in sequence. That's a number of them. I'm a heavy shooter and I haven't had an opportunity to do that myself. Alrighty, we've now got the file numbering sequence. Pay close attention. This one to me is really, really crucial. We've had this a few times in some of our workshops where somebody did not have that active. We go out shooting and it's a really, really good morning and they shoot more than one card. They come back and they say, okay, I'm at DLWS and I've shot, Monday morning, and they make a folder and they load the first card in there and then they pull it out. They go to put the second card in there. Now keep in mind, file number sequence is turned off. They may be new to this whole situation and the computer says, that number already exists. Would you like me to replace these files? And they're like, yeah, okay, I guess, whatever. They hit yes. They have now just written over that first card or that first set of numbers, files, with the next set. So for safety purposes, I keep file number sequence on. That way, when I take the card out of the camera, if the last number was 275, the next number on the new card is going to be 276. It's also a great way for just, if you don't rename your files, for keeping track of what files you're on and where you are. Okay, the next one is the shooting info display. You've got two options there, auto or manual. In the auto, based on the ambient light or the existing light, the camera will determine whether it wants a dark background with light writing or a light background with dark writing. If you go to manual, you can preset that so that the screen looks the way that you can see it the best. I've got that left for auto based on the different lighting conditions. The next setting, the LCD illumination. When that's on, anytime the meter is active, the rear display, when you're looking at it, is also illuminated. When you turn it off, it's only illuminated when you slide the on lever beyond to the little light bulb. We've got exposure delay mode. Again, this is a tool for when you're shooting on a tripod and you don't have, say, a remote release. You maybe don't want to go into self-timer mode, but you don't want to be touching the camera when you fire. So with the exposure delay mode on, there's a 1 second delay between the time you hit the shutter release and the camera actually fires. Just prevents camera shake. We've got the MBD10 battery type. With the vertical grip that Nikon offers, you can have the option of either using AA batteries or the ENEL3 battery that the camera comes with. When you use AA batteries, there's a host of different types of batteries, alkaline, nickel metal hydride, etc. By telling the camera what type of batteries it has in there, it will help it optimize its performance based on those batteries. One little tip, I would only use alkaline when it's absolutely necessary. You'll find that you'll go through a set of those in no time. And Brad's got the insert that takes the ENEL3. So his camera set up with one ENEL3 in the body and another one in the vertical grip. Now, battery order. That brings up a good one again. When you're with the MBD10, you've got one in the body, one in the grip. You can tell the camera which battery power to draw off of first. When I'm using the grip, I tend to have it draw off the grip. That way, if the battery goes down, it'll then kick into the body. Or if I want to change quickly, that one goes down, I don't have to take the grip off to change the battery. So I use that one the most, and then when the camera one starts getting exhausted, I'll take the grip off and switch them out. Well, that finishes up the shooting display. Our next one is the bracketing and flash section.